segment that I'm calling Take Two. It's a thing I like to do where I have some great comic creator on, but then I orchestrate some kind of a technical difficulty so we lose the entire file and then redo the whole thing in what I'm calling Take Two. So thank you, Robert, for joining us for Take Two to talk about Essential.
Thanks, Roy. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed it the first time, and I'm sure this is going to go great.
Yeah. Well, and the first time, some things went wrong. Somebody, a UPS driver crashed into the
Mhm.
house. I had to redo this whole background.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a weird telegram, where it's like this weird singing telegram, but everybody
And
was
you
nude and
got
they all were like from an old
hacked.
folks home. It was really weird. And I'm sorry you had to deal with that. But it's done now, and
Yeah.
here we
Yeah.
are. And this time, nothing is going to go wrong. I've locked all my doors. I've soundproofed the house, and I just we're good. So why
All
don't we
right.
start off by telling people just kind of like the one sentence, the log line of Essential.
All right. So let me see if I can spout it off the top of my head. It's when a mysterious virus starts killing off the world's superheroes. A father and a nurse who's been hiding his superpower his whole life has to protect his family from what he might have passed down. Um, which and then I kind of like supplement that by explaining that it's the story is about everything from fatherhood and inheritance, and just the fear of things that we might pass on to further generations. Um, because it's like it deals with those themes. He also happens to be a nurse, like me, and so there's like, there's some parts in the book where it's in a medical setting. It's in a hospital where he works. But there's also the dynamics with the stuff happening with his kid. He's got a young son, and he's got a pregnant wife, and so that's what it deals with those themes, and that's like those are the characters. It's the main character Alex, and then his son Gabriel, who's like in second grade, and then his pregnant wife Danny or Daniela. Um, so yeah, and it's that's the log line. I've refined it quite a bit. I probably could have rolled it off my tongue a lot more smoothly. So I gotta practice that, Roy. Gotta make it sound. Uh,
Well, let me
but
ask
like
you:
I,
is this one thing you've talked about? Because we've talked about this before, and you let me read an early version of the script, and that idea of passing things down, is that something that is like, um just very like, is that a deeply ingrained thing in you? Like, do you have a vestigial tale or something that you had worried about passing down, or is that just an interesting theme to you?
that's funny. I wish I did. That would be kind of cool. My kids would probably enjoy that if I did. Um, but no, I think. Well, so um, to be honest, yeah, when I wrote this, like my kids were like under 2 years old, both of them. I have two kids; they're 16 months apart, and so yeah, when I wrote that, I was freaked out about being a dad, and like all the implications that come with it, which I'm sure people who are parents can potentially understand. Like being a brand new parent is just it can be kind of freaky. Like you're trying to figure out, just how to take care of this baby. In my case, it was two of them. But then there's like bigger implications too. It's just like, am I going to be a good enough parent? Am I going to be able to, you know, guide them and help them through their lives? Like, and then like I don't know about a lot of other people, but I got my own baggage. I got my own crap that I deal with. And when you have kids, it forces you to all that stuff that you might be not dealing with. Like say you have issues, whatever. If you're not dealing with that stuff, once you have kids, like you are kind of forced to either figure that stuff out or deal with it, or you just smash it down even more. I don't know. Like I really don't know what people do, but that that is kind of like that was the really deep seated underlying stuff that was rolling around in my head when I was writing this story, and it just happened to make its way into the story, like with the framework of like this disease outbreak, which was happening when I wrote it, which is COVID. And yeah, like another line that I supplement the log line with, and I made a new Kickstarter video just yesterday, and it's a new line was, what if the people that we rely on to take care of us are the ones getting sick?
Which is a really
And
it's
that
an interesting parallel
like
because
literally isn't. Yeah.
you've got the superheroes who are getting sick, and they're supposed to be who
Right.
is taking care of us. But then on another level, and this was kind of true in real life, with the pandemic, you have all these essential workers, nurses and doctors who then are getting sick. And so kind of like the real life
Yeah.
superheroes, so to speak. So some interesting parallels there. And it's definitely going to be an interesting comic for parents because there is, I mean, I wish that my fear was like passing along some super cool superpower and not the
Yeah.
kinds of things I have. All the First of all, I went through a phase where I had to like stop myself because all the time I'd be like, man, my mom was always like this, and so now I'm like this, or my dad always did this, and that's what made me
Oh
like
yeah.
this. And so I'm thinking like, oh, I can't say that because I don't want to like I don't want them to have some kind of a develop a complex, and I don't want to do this or I don't
Oh
want to do
yeah.
that. Um, so yeah, I think it's going to be it really will resonate with parents, but then it also has other elements, like for Gabe to be dealing with, he's dealing with bullying in the comic,
Yeah.
and some of the names have changed. Is that did his name is stayed the same, didn't it? The
It's
son?
still Gabriel. Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Gabe.
So
And
he
then
so he's dealing with bullies. There's um just everybody remembers the pandemic and all that entailed, and so it's it's just a very interesting story. But then it also, even though it's very grounded, which is something that I like a lot in comics, it's not grounded in a way that I think a lot of times people hear grounded and they think it's not going to be have those exciting superhero elements, but there are
oh
definitely scenes, even very early in the book, where things get real in an unreal way that are very exciting.
yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. Like I've been struggling. I mean, not like in a profound way, but I've been trying to figure out how best to speak about like highlight uh these different elements in this book, because like marketing something is tricky. It's like, some people have it down to like a science, but this book kind of spans like different genres or whatever. Like there's the grounded element to it, which is like it's character driven. It's like very much about the characters and how they evolve, and all that will kind of open up, and you'll get more insight into that in subsequent issues, which I'm like really excited that I'm sort of writing all that backstory and how the evolution of the characters. Um but yeah, it's set in this fantastical setting with the superheroes and stuff like that, and that's all intended to be like metaphorical as well, but it's like it's not just there just to be a metaphor or just to be like kitschy or something. Like them dealing with these powers and stuff and navigating it is like a real part of the story, and it makes it more fun, it makes it more interesting. Um uh and the fact that they're all getting sick and they have to figure out how to how to either like save themselves, and in this case Alex, the main character, has to figure out how to like protect his family because stuff starts getting real, like you said. And um they mentioned in this issue that there's going to be a quarantine, um and he gets sent home the son school. It's like the clock is ticking, and um he's just got to figure out what to do.
Yeah, that's a another thing as a dad, and also that element of it feels like you really stacked a lot of the odds in many ways are really stacked against him because he's got the financial side of things to worry and providing for his family and keeping his family safe and uh, all of these different things that go into making it sort of a pressure cooker
Yeah,
kind of a situation.
yeah, yeah. It's fun. It was fun to put that together, I have to say. It was and like the book kind of flows from scene to scene. It is kind of action packed. Even though it's once the events start happening and like stuff gets real, it's just like bam, bam, bam. Like um, stuff happens to Alex at the hospital, at work. It cuts to the scene at school with Gabe, and he's getting bullied, and then he starts getting sick, and then it cuts to the wife, and she's at a conference for like her profession, and she starts to get sick, and then yeah, and then it just goes from there. And I'm hoping, so everybody who's read it and who's seen all the parts of it seems to really enjoy it. I'm just hoping that people, yeah, that they get sucked in and are invested, and they are curious and want to know what's going to happen with these characters, because it ends like on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Well, and what have you kind of thought about when it comes to the future of the story? Where do you see it going? It kind of feels like you've created a world where there are a lot of different directions that it could go. Or is there anything in particular that you're most excited to explore?
Yeah, like so there's a couple of different layers of things that are happening. So Alex has to figure out how to like physically take care of his family because they're all getting sick, right? Um, and I'm excited about the mechanics of the story, how that's going to get resolved, and that's where his medical background is going to come into play, because he's a nurse, and it's going to take the some of the scenes are going to go back into the hospital, um, for better or for worse. I'm put it that way. Um, and then you have like this element of like the government, which is like really coming down hard on quarantining these six superheroes, and there's a whole backstory about that. And then you have this issue. Part of the character development is we're going to flash back to parts of Alex's childhood, because like I've already kind of explained to people, and I'm making it pretty open now, even though I was hiding it before, which is that Alex has been hiding his superpower, and I'm just like, yeah, I was trying to keep that a secret when marketing this book, but I think it makes more sense to just let people know it. So we're going to get more backstory and flashbacks into his childhood, and that'll be important because it'll explain, his neuroses or whatever, or his reasons for a lot of his behavior for hiding this stuff, and it'll also factor into how he tries to help his son with dealing with what's going on with him. Like you mentioned before, like with being a dad, um, sometimes you'll hear yourself saying stuff that your mom said, or doing things that your mom did, and you're like, I don't know if I want to. Do I want to repeat that? Do I want to like am I going to give my kid a complex like that? So that's exactly like what Alex is going to deal with trying to help his son. So
Now,
there's
so
a
is
lot of
he at
layers
risk
there.
of getting sick then?
They all are, yeah.
So, okay, so is it one thing that I think maybe so he so talk to about the virus a little bit more and about the pandemic and what's going on there.
Yeah. So um, in the first stages, as Alex is driving to work, he turns on the news in his car, and they're talking about the pandemic, and it's been going on for like weeks now, and scientists don't really know what's going on. We know that all of the world's superheroes have been getting sick, and with that, they just a lot of them have been dying, and um, sorry, it says it's trying to reconnect. Let me see. Let me
It's I think it's
make
still
sure that
connected.
the
That's
connection comes back. All right, you can hear me okay?
mhm.
So yeah, he's trying to he's just hearing on the radio that there's this pandemic going on, and that the scientists don't know what to make of it. But then they bring up this other development in the story of the pandemic, that quote unquote normal people have been who have been getting sick with like flu-like symptoms are starting to show signs of like developing superpowers. It's almost like as they get sick, they start doing weird stuff like I don't know, like shooting lasers out of their eyes or whatever. Like almost it's like an uncontrollable that they start to develop. And so in the blur on the news, all you get sick, they become unstable, and then they're like, now normal people are starting to get sick ours too, and they don't know what to make of it. Um, and so uh, then Alex goes to the hospital, and he has a patient that exact same thing happens to his patient. His patient was a normal person, and then he starts to have some crazy stuff happen with him, um, and that has implications for Alex's story. Um, so um, I framed the whole pandemic thing that way because it's going to be explained more in subsequent issues, what's going on in terms of these quote unquote normal people who are all of a sudden showing signs of a superpower. So that's going to get explained a lot more. It's going to have a very like concrete place in the story, um,
So that
which
so it is a very it in a way it kind
didn't
of
want to disclose. I don't know if it's like causing more.
oh it's
Oh, here, sorry, cut out.
it's what I was going to say
You're
is so
back.
yeah, so it's this so in real like the real pandemic COVID-19 people are sick and you're kind of worried and maybe you could even speak to what this felt like where you're worried about okay is somebody going to cough on me and then I get this terrible sickness but it makes that even more immediate and urgent because now it's not just is this sick person going to cough on me and be sick it's are they going to accidentally decapitate me with laser eyes or something like that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so, like in the news, the blurb in the car, they talk about how unstable all these people are becoming, um, and how it's making things more dangerous for first responders and essential workers who have to deal with taking care of people. So it just kind of like it exacerbates this situation, which is already scary enough, and makes it so that um, like essential workers, which is kind of like what the uh, is like for the reason that this unknown mysterious virus is just wreaking havoc on the superhero population, but then it starts to trickle down into the regular normal people, quote unquote, population. Um, and but then we'll discover why that is in further issues.
Yeah, that I don't think I'm a germaphobe or anything like that, but there's something about just the idea of sickness on its own that is very my gut reaction is like not heroic at all. One of my friends was just giving me a hard time because we were at the beach a few years ago, and out of nowhere he just like threw up, and my my first reaction was not to
Oh
be like, "Oh, are you okay?" or pat him on the, I was just like, "Whoa,"
man,
backing away and like just I don't know, sort of, I guess trying to get him into quarantine. So it, I think it's gonna,
right.
and when you read the comic and the way that 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 you with your writing and then Jorge with his art captures the chaos of that situation, um, it's gonna create some nice tension that I think people will really enjoy.
Thanks. I hope so. Uh, my wife mentioned to me last night that she thought it was a little bit like that the visually the way it appeared to her because she told me that she's like it's kind of dark, and I was and I didn't know, oh, man, uh, like predominantly is what she was getting at, but I mean I love Jorge's art. I think it's great. It's got so much character and so much. I love the colors and I love the line work and stuff, um, and so I just feel really excited about working with him. Plus, he's just an awesome guy, um, and so it's been great. But yeah, I wanted there to be tension. Like I wanted that to be palpable, um, uh, because that's how it felt for me at the time when I was writing it. So yeah,
I would like to let's show some of the art, and
okay.
would you kind of walk us through a little bit uh, as we're looking at this art, and feel free to comment on any of it as we go. But could you also kind of walk us through the process of um, the Kickstarter campaign and um, how people can support the comic and that kind of thing?
Started on March 1st, and we'll provide a link in the
Oh
description of the
yeah,
show. Um,
there's a link in the description to support the Kickstarter, um, and also to read some of the the first 8 pages for free over on Global Comics.
on Global Comics. Thanks. Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, we launched the Kickstarter on the first. I can talk a little bit about some of the elements, like some of the reward tiers. There's a digital copy, of course, for anybody who's interested. Like this might appeal more to other comic creators, but the script is also available for people who want to read that. Um, and then we have a physical copy with the cover art that you've been showing, and then there's going to be a variant cover that Jorge also did. Um, that's more of like a pinup style piece of art that features his Gabriel, the son, and first 30 backers are going to get free exclusive stickers that I made, and then um, Jorge and I are going to announce this week a cool promotion that we're doing, that all backers are going to be eligible to win some exclusive art from Jorge. Um,
Oh, that's awesome.
and that's not, yeah, it's not going to be part of like a specific reward tier. It's just going to be um, just a chance to win, like something that Jorge is going to. It's a commissioned art piece, but it's a black and white commissioned art piece. So so yeah, we're excited to announce that. And then we also have some stretch goals that are planned. Um, and hopefully, like, yeah, I mean, that would be awesome if we got to the point in the campaign where we could offer those stretch goals. um, but yeah, one step at a time, one step at a time. Um,
Well, one thing that I think is such a big deal about supporting indie comics, and um, I'm just so first of all, I'm excited to see comics like this where it's 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 a thing that I don't feel like we've really seen before in this way. I mean, there people have kind of done things with the idea of like the superhero pandemic, but not pandemic exactly, but, like Marvel zombies and stuff like that. There have been things like that, but to see it done in a very unique way is really great for anybody who likes to read comics. And the more important thing is to me, who my love of comics has really been revitalized by the Absolute Universe. And a lot of the people who subscribe here, that's how they found me, is because I was talking about the Absolute Universe. They cared about the Absolute Universe. And one of the things about DC's Absolute Universe is so many of those comics were written by people who
yeah.
started out in indie comics. Scott Snyder,
Oh,
Jeff
cool.
Lemire, who I know is somebody who
Oh,
has
yeah.
influenced you in some ways. If we
Influence.
want to
Yeah.
have more great comic artists and writers like that, who people who can kind of I mean, there's no minor league really for creating great writers and artists other than indie comics. So if we want to see more of that, and we don't want there to be some point where it's like all of a sudden there's just a dearth of good writers, then we have to support people who are writing the kind of indie comics that we enjoy, so that they can then be able to have that success and move on to the next level where we're able to then enjoy even more comics with bigger budgets and all the support that goes with that.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for saying so, Roy. Like, I know that your background as a fan in comics is like on another level than mine. Like, um, because I know that I think you've just like you consume or have read more comics than I have, I think. And I got into comics as an adult. I was into comics as a kid, but I never really read them that much because they didn't have like the indie comics that they had now, like when I was a kid, like in the um, late 80s and early 90s. They It was like almost exclusively superhero comics, like the big publishing companies, and like those were, I thought those looked really cool, but like the stories didn't like appeal to me that much. Um, but like I'm glad that hearing that from you, that I mean, that you can appreciate or whatever, just really great stories. And I know that there's really great stories in some of those big published, like those the books from those big publishers and those big labels, but yeah, they just haven't like appealed to me for whatever reason. And I got really into comics from the indie side. Um, so I'm glad that it appeals to
Well,
you
and that
again.
is the thing, and I think this is this is what's creating so much more interest in comics in a lot of ways, is they are really pulling from more indie artists and creators, and like Kelly Thompson is doing Absolute Wonder Woman. So many of these people who are just like our favorites, or they go and have these great runs, some of the best runs that you see with these mainstream characters, they come from indie comics. And it's weird to me. I enjoy. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, so there's. I love to see that indie comic kind of ethos, I guess, pulled into mainstream comics. So it's just the more of that there can be, the better. And it's just, I think it's because
Yeah,
when with indie comics, there's so much more of a focus on story and character, and it's not as much like, so often a mainstream comic is kind of just checking boxes. They're like, We got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do the other thing, kind of like save the cat type, the same way you have in the movies where there's all this action but there's not exactly a story there. And for me,
Yeah.
I need there to be a story. I need there to be a character that I care about. And that's just something that indie comics is able to do better because it's people who actually have a passion for what they're doing. And it's not as much like, it's not as much driven by the fact that it's like, okay, we got to do these things, we got to like appeal to people's shorter attention spans, we've got to you know do all these kind of things that you have to do these days to get people to read anything. Where did he go? Look, now it's just me. We don't talk that often. um, but I think we should talk more, you guys and me. I don't know if you can see, I've got a pull-up bar back here. I realized that I can only do one pull-up, which is okay. I'm fine with that's all I really want to be able to do is one pull-up. When I was younger, I couldn't do any pull-ups. In college, I decided, hey, I need to be able to do a pull-up. I'm going to do a pull-up. And now, no matter how much I weigh, I've always been able to do at least one pull-up. Uh, but then the other day, I oh, we've got a question. Who is your favorite illustrator? That's a good question. Garnet747, favorite illustrator. Mine, I mean, aside from Jorge Pina, the artist for Essential, I would have to say my favorite is probably like I like Frank Miller a lot, although I know he's kind of done some of his stuff now is getting a little bit weird. I mean, I don't hate it, like, but there was that Wolverine cover that was kind of bizarre not too long ago. Um, and I really love Nick Dragata. I'm a big fan of Absolute Batman and everything that's going on there. And I also like was it Hayden Sherman, the Absolute Wonder Woman, and what is the Matt Fraction Batman book? Well, they're really good too. So those I would say are kind of my tops. Oh, and then Carlos Esquera, maybe like all time favorite, I guess. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm talking about pull-ups, which are not exactly relevant to comics, but I do think that for me personally, it's important to have this conversation. I want to be able to do almost one pull-up. And then I realized if I can only do one, that's really close to zero. And so I need like a buffer. I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way up to two, but I want to at least be able to do like one and a half. And so that's where I'm at right now. I think I probably can do like 1.1. Um, so I'm feeling good about that. Let's see what's the technical difficulties. This is not as interesting as the technical difficulties we had last week. Um, and I think I forgot to mention at one point. This was before the UPS truck hit the house. The Kool Aid Man actually just burst in. And usually in the all the commercials I'd seen, he always would go in through like a wall. But for some reason, he came right in through a window, which I haven't gotten the estimate back, but I don't know if that's going to be more or less expensive. I can't imagine that the glass is going to be good. That's going to be a problem, I feel like. But that wasn't in this room, fortunately. It was just kind of a disturbance to hear that through the wall. One pull up, regardless of weight, is that a superpower? Um, I mean, that's got to be close to a superpower. The most I've ever weighed was only about 270. So I don't know if that's maybe if I had put on a little more weight. But you got to say, like, if I were 500 pounds and I could do a pull up, I mean, I'm not Superman level, but that's got to be like one of those street level. That's better than Daredevil, I think. Gosh, I really hope that I've not left I've left Bert in the waiting room or something. I feel like I should check on him. Oh no, you know what I'll do? I'll tell you a little bit more about this Kickstarter because I think that is very, very important. It's probably the most important thing to me today is that you go and check out this Kickstarter. So let's look at that. Boom. Okay. So here's the Kickstarter. And immediately you can see a virus wiping out the world's superheroes. That's crazy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I think about it, would I be scared? I guess you get a sense of reliance on the superheroes, but at the same time, in reality, there's no like guarantee that a superhero is going to be heroic and not a super villain. So maybe it would feel safer to have them. It's almost like kind of nuclear disarmament in a way. But at the very least, it would be scary. And then, of course, then you got the fact that some people are getting superpowers and they're uncontrollable. Uh, that's an issue. Then we've got the dad. He's hiding his superpower. So that's you. I like that. I like the idea of a superhero who's kind of like not showing all their cards. And then he's protecting his family. As a family man, I like that. Even before I had a family. Well, I mean, I always had a family, but even before I had my own family, I always liked those kind of, protecting your family type of deals. So let's see. And I can tell you again, I've read the comic. It's very good. Now, da, 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 look at this. So here's the characters. Got Alex, Gabriel, and Daniela. And it's a story about fatherhood under pressure, which we've talked about some. Oh, he says he's here. Interesting. Interesting. So Bert is here. Can anyone hear Bert? Raise your hand if you can hear Bert. And then you got some preview pages in here. And don't forget the Global Comics link. You can go there and you can just you can see the whole thing there. Or not the whole thing, but 8 pages. And so you got a lot of great art here that you can see. Slow burn family thriller. Slow burn, but it does definitely it's got some action in it for sure. Let's see. Robert, I tried to let you in. Is it, I think, yeah, there you are.
I think I'm back. I'm so sorry. I was trying to
No
answer
problem. I
calls.
was just telling everybody about how the Kool-Aid man burst into
You know, I
my
was talking.
house the last time we tried to do this. Um, and then we're kind of looking over the Kickstarter, and I love that. Oh wait, hold on. Let me make sure we got
Thanks for
the
doing that,
right.
Roy.
Oh no, I can't change that. Okay, yeah. So then I love you got to have just for anybody who just cares about comics, right? For anybody who feels like we need more better comics, then this you can support at any level you want. But then for just $5, they can read this whole comic and then decide if it's for them. I mean, it doesn't get. I feel like that's doesn't get any better than that. That's what you pay for absolute Batman, you know?
Yeah,
And then you can get the script, you can get, and then it's only $10 for a physical copy. So to me, that's where I would go. I would be going to get, I'd want a physical copy. I would want to be able to read this and hold it in my hands. Is this the one you were talking about that's kind of the more
yeah, that's the variant, the quote unquote variant cover.
the variant? No, there's
So
no
it's
quotes
cool,
about
like
it. That's a
the way
variant.
that Jorge, yeah, yeah, it's kind of cool. Like he Jorge came up with that and as like a pinup, a piece of art, like a standalone piece of art featuring Gabriel. Um, but I really liked it because I kind of feel like it's almost like world, like his point of view. He's a little kid, and so it just kind of seems um, like it's more like a perspective of what it might be like for him in his world, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And look at this, in case anybody didn't believe that you were a dad, you paid two kids the standard rate for actors, I think, to come and pretend to be your kids. Is that right?
Oh man, yeah. Do you like
Were they,
that?
do they
I
have their
hope it
SAG
really
cards?
hooks in all the. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Um, I know. I guess I should have thought about that a little bit better. And that's a picture of Jorge, the artist for the book. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and that's the cover. Um,
I am really excited about this comic. I Part of the great thing about it for me, being friends with you, is I got to see it from like kind of the earlier stages, and to see how you've honed
right.
it and how much work you've put into it. It's really cool to get to see that as a comic book fan, because sometimes these days you read stuff and it's just like, oh man, you almost wonder if they just like plugged it into Chat GPT and were like, hey, write a write a comic that will make $1 million or something like that. And so to have gotten to see this from the
Yeah.
beginning, and to see all the work that went into it, and to know that just to know that like, the secret ingredient of love was added, it really is a makes a big difference.
Oh man, so much. Want to make sure there's no echo.
So there's a way.
I turned it off. One of the or rather when I reset.
Wait, oh wait, that's, I think it's, yeah, I'm hearing me. Um,
I wasn't able to
I don't think that I can turn off echo
turn off.
cancellation when we're recording, and I'm afraid that if I stop recording, I won't be able to start again.
That's okay.
But actually, when
Like
I
I
stay right here, I can't hear myself. It was only when I was closer.
okay. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
get
so
it.
look, let's get a little more into the deeper, more personal, like, side of this. And I think you've shared some of that. But what are some of the like moments where you just did you have any time where you were just like, man, I'm not going to be able to finish this, or I'm not going to do anything with this? Did you ever have any moments of doubt?
Yeah, I mean, I do all the time as like a creative person, and like this, like you're like super creative too. I mean, you're a really great musician, and we've done music projects together. Um, like I've talked about this to people before. Like so much of what propels me through these creative projects is like just a my impulsivity. I'm just and I attribute that to like my ADHD. Like I'll just get an idea and I just like do it, and I kind of don't think it through. Um, and sometimes it works to the project's benefit. You know, you just kind of start something and you don't really care how it's going to turn out, and you just put all this love and energy and time into it. Um, and so uh, that's kind of tends to be how I operate. But and it doesn't really matter when it's like something small, like a song, you know, like stuff that we've worked on in the past, where we can whip together a song, a track in like a day or something, and or less, and it can sound really cool and it can be fun. But with something like this that requires so much effort and so much time, and it costs a lot of money, like um, right before my video and mic cut out, I was talking about how like the stakes are kind of high. Like this project, it costs, you know, I was talking about the Kickstarter and how I'm not going to make any money off of this at all. Like I'm losing a lot of money, but I don't care. And what I'm talking about when I say I'm losing money is that like I'm not going to recoup anything. I paid Jorge all like to illustrate this book, and where I paid as much as I kind of can afford in our budget of being a parent with two kids and a mortgage and stuff. And so all that we're trying to get from this Kickstarter is just the money to finish the coloring and the lettering for like I think it's like 7 pages or 8 pages, because everything else is done. All the pencil, uh, the inking, and the coloring and lettering is done for like 75% of the book. And so that's all we're trying to get, guys. We're not trying to make money and get rich off of this thing. I just want this book to get out to the world because I just love writing and I want to keep doing it. But yeah, there's lots of times where I feel like giving up, or I have doubts. Um, and like I've mentioned this the first time that you and I talked on a show, which is that like is that the writing process is tricky. You can go down like a rabbit hole or go down a like a path that you think sounds and feels really good, but then when you like you take some time away from that character story or whatever, and it just you go back to it and it's like that doesn't work, or that's just weak, or that doesn't feel like genuine or whatever. And so then you have to start from scratch again and like throw that stuff away. Um, and so yeah, as a creative person, there's all kinds of ways that that doubt and being self-conscious and second guessing yourself can creep in for sure. And for this step of the process with this book, it's like in different levels. There's like the doubt and the apprehension about continuing with it based on whether this project is going to actually fund and we're actually going to be able to do anything. But like I decided very recently that I don't care like if we I want to fund obviously I want to meet our goal. Of course, I want to get the book out, but like it's not going to prevent me from writing and continuing to write. I still this story is so much fun for me to explore and to exist in that world that I'm going to keep writing and writing. But um yeah, I want the book to come out so badly, and I'd love to see all the subsequent issues, see the light of day for sure.
Well, and what is something that so my other life, in my other life, I'm a marketer and I do marketing for a lot of startups. And there is something that, entrepreneurs and creatives and, creators have in common, I think, which is they're able to get something, find something deep down inside themselves that will push them to do something even without knowing uh, that it's a sure thing. Like one of the first founders that I worked with, he made no money for like 2 or 3 years with this company that he started, and then eventually sold it, and he, made
Yeah.
a lot of money. But before that, he had to say that somehow find inside himself this drive to do something, even though it was not a sure thing. And what would you say? Where do you find that drive? Is it just this love of the project? I guess.
Yeah, like the impulsivity that creative impulse got me started with it, but now I'm like steeped in that world. Like the world has been created. It's like the box, like Pandora's box has been opened. Um, and I really like being in it, you know, and like just to get a little background into my writing process, like the way I write stuff is I see all the scenes in my head. Like I see every like little panel that are in the pages. Like when I'm writing, I see exactly how I want it to look. And so it's kind of like watching a movie in my mind. I know that might sound kind of ridiculous, but it's
Kind of
fun.
sounds like a
It's fun to
superpower.
be it's it's fun to be in that world, you know? It's just escapism or just, you know, that that's what's fun about being creative is you just get to make stuff up and you get to like live in that environment. And so there's something pretty awesome about being able to ask that question, what if, oh, what if this, what if that? And then you like it's almost becomes like a puzzle to try to figure out how, okay, so what if that, okay, if that's the case, then this. So if that, then this, if that, then this. And then it's just like putting puzzle pieces together. And then it's really fun to just see if the whole thing works once it's all kind of laid out. Um, and so, yeah, it's just for the sheer enjoyment of engaging in the process. Um, and I think that ultimately it's the question of, is this going to work? Like, will this work? And when it does work, it's like it's just the greatest feeling. Like when you're like, yeah, okay, this fits, this works. Okay, cool. Um, then comes the next step, which is getting the art done, which is
Yeah.
is the toughest part.
And the other another benefit of it is that now whenever you are if you ever start a new job um, or at some conference where everybody's like introducing themselves and you have to say an interesting fact about yourself, you can be like, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I actually wrote a comic.
Yeah.
Um, and another thing that I think is really powerful about a real story like this one and your ability to write these stories, something that if I were you would make me kind of like excited about it, is that obviously a lot of people talked about how powerful story is and how it affects people and it kind of like activates different parts of their brain. And you are, it's almost like some subconscious part of yourself that maybe you wouldn't even necessarily be able to actively access. You're able to put that out there and kind of like let that interact with other people's subconscious and have this like uh, crazy new age kind of conversation that I think really affects the world because it you put that out there and it's going to affect the way people think about things. If you've written something that there's some element of truth to it, some element of um, where it's grounded in reality, not to say that fantastic things can't happen in it, but that people are reacting to those fantastic things in a real way, then you're gonna that you influence people. And I I think that's the most important job of a writer. And it's just when I read this, when I read this script, and when I've looked at the pages and everything, it feels like it's got a real potential to affect people in that way, if that even makes any sense.
Oh no, it does. And to speak to that, like I know I've talked a lot about my creative process, but like I think ever since I was a kid, the reason that I always wanted to engage in these creative pursuits like music and writing, like I've been writing since I was a little kid. It's just it's always like when I've like kind of gotten really deep about what this means and why I do it. It ultimately comes down to the fact that I want to connect with people. Like it's a desire to want to reach. It's a desire to try to speak about things like within myself, like to share like more deeply things that I think and feel and care about to and share that with others in the hope that they can see that and accept it, and then we can share this kind of common bond or whatever. Um, like there's nothing like reading like an amazing novel or an amazing book or watching a movie that just touches you like really deeply, you know, like that's um, as a lover of movies and literature, it's just like that's that feeling that you get when you read something so uh, that touches you. It's just like that's what I wanted to do. Like so, but that's essentially it. It's just wanting to reach people in that way, you know.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk one more time about, well, let's tell them where they can connect with you, because I know you're on
Oh
Instagram
yeah,
at least. And
yeah,
then I want to talk about the Kickstarter one more time just to remind everybody with that. Um, and I'll also remind everybody that in the description you can read the first 8 pages for free on
yeah. Global Comics.
Global Comics, and I've linked to the Kickstarter, and I've also linked to Jorge's Instagram. So, Robert, where can they find you on Instagram? And
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So my Instagram is like my kind of my main place where I put everything up, like music and lately all this stuff about the comic book. I think it's Bert G 77 or something like that. Um,
oh gosh, well let's
but
make sure
I'd have to look. Okay. Um, and then I also have
that ain't you.
let me see if I can find it. Oh no, sorry, hold on. I'm
I'm
at
going to tell this guy you're pretending you're him. You're trying to
oh, I guess
steal
it's
his
just Bert. I think it's just Bert Garibay actually. Um, and then I also have a Substack. Um, yeah, so that's not me. So don't go there. Um,
Don't bother Bert G 77. Bert, there we
yeah,
go.
that's my page. Yeah, it's just Bert Garibay. Um, so Bert has been a nickname of mine for many years. You can call me Bert or Robert.
Oh, it's going to make me log in to get
Doesn't
to look at
matter.
you playing the drums here.
Um, oh yeah, that's from a recent project with an old buddy of mine, old bandmate. Got to go back into the studio uh, last summer, which was really fun. And that's my Substack. I think that my profile on Substack is probably like Bert.
This one is Bert G 77.
Okay, there you go.
So I feel like we've got a little battle brewing between
Yeah, well, it's hard to finding
Bert
like
G 77s. Who's the pretender?
oh, there's probably more than there's probably who knows how many of us there are. People born in '77, Bert G. It's a good year.
I'm on your side.
Thanks. And that just that for people who have seen that on the video and they're wondering what that is, that's the imprint that I decided to release the Essential series like on this publishing imprint that I'm starting called Wongo. Wongo, that's how you pronounce that word. It's Spanish for loose or ill-fitting, something that doesn't fit very well or that's been stretched out or is loose. It has some like slang applications that are kind of like uh, you know, a little bit kind of crude, but uh, I I grew up we grew up saying that word and as kids in our family because my family is Hispanic, I'm Latino, saying that word you know in regards to like clothes and them not fitting well or them getting like stretched out and then they fit badly after that. And so to me, I wanted to start something that represented my lived experience of this existence between two cultures. Because like I'm second or third generation. My grandparents, some of them, they're all from Mexico, and so they're from different parts, but northern Mexico on the border where I'm from, and so some of this element in the story, this theme of trying to reconcile with your past and trying to like hide certain elements of yourself and then forcing yourself to confront them. Um, a lot of that in a deep-seated way comes from growing up as like being from a Mexican background, but then being Americanized quite a bit and not feeling like I was part of either one very much. It's a thing that's kind of common among people that grow up in the border. Um, but as a creative person, as a writer, I wanted to like be honest with that part of me and share that experience, and so that factors into the story as well.
Well, I very really appreciate you coming on here for take two,
Thanks.
and it's
I
been a great
appreciate it.
conversation, and I hope that you will come back. I hope we can do another take two with Jorge, take three.
Oh yeah.
Um, and yeah, everybody needs to go check out this Kickstarter, check the comic out on Global Comics, and you're gonna love it.
Thanks, Roy. I appreciate it.